Welcome to another beautiful episode of E&B Plays The Witness. And boy, what an episode do I have today to show you people, because I've got a lot of stuff to catch you up on that I've been up to, so let's get started. First, I started finding symbols everywhere, and I realized the trick was to not look for the circle, but to look for the ending, terminating little nub at the end of a line. If I could find the end of the line, then I could trace it back to its beginning, at least sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. I found what was obviously the ending of a line out at sea. I knew that these sections here on the map were traceable, and so I basically just had to scour around and find them. And for these, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my struggle with these. I also found one on the map there. But I was beginning to think, okay, maybe the trick is to just complete the maze in a way that's not actually completing the maze, but which draws a line terminating at the end point and avoiding all the visual obstacles that obscure the line. Turns out that was wrong, so I took a break and I started looking around and I saw this vent and I was like, this vent should be part of a line. It looks like it. I went out here and I saw this reflection and said, hey, wait, maybe the reflection is a terminating point. And it was. And I'm like, wow, everything that is a terminating point. So I looked at the obelisk and I realized I only had one line left, and it had to be that vent. So I was looking around, and right here, there it was in perspective. I was so nervous and excited when I finally filled it out, and the line went to the obelisk, and now it's stone. It's no longer made of obsidian. It's definitely stone now, and it's lost its black property. I don't know what this has done. I don't know what this has triggered, but I feel like if I set them all off, it might do a thing. I don't know what that thing is, but it might do a thing, and that gets me closer to finally finishing The Witness and completing it once and for all. So I figured out this solution would let me draw on at least one of the lines, and then I went through this one and realized I had to start it with me like somewhere in the middle of the line because I couldn't just go backtrack and draw it because of the way the obstacles were placed. So I did it this way, and then I started to draw my shape, and I was super proud of myself. I was like, I'm finally going to do this. This is awesome. I have to just cheat a little bit to get this part done, but yeah, it's done. And then I look back and I see, oh wait, the line isn't completed. I messed up one of my dips. So I then took a screenshot, and then I redrew my path on foot that I remembered myself, having drawn out in the MS Paint document enough times that I was able to do it this time easily. Got that done. This one, I realized that I had to either start from the end point, or I needed to just really go off the path in order to achieve what I was looking for, because the end line is like, there's so many things obscuring me from being able to draw over there. I don't want to get into a space where I can't draw. So I had to circle back around, go to the end, and then finish it off from the ending point. So starting from the ending might be the preferred method for completing this one, if you were going to try it yourself. Now, another thing I'd like to point out about the pressure plates. I've noticed that this is technically another way of interacting with the world. So I'm going to try to keep my eyes peeled for any more glass pressure plates, because not only do these pressure plates interact with you, but also at the ending cave, there's a pressure plate that creates the randomized maps. So here I had no idea what I was doing. I thought for sure that maybe if I circled down and then up again, I'd be able to do it. But I somehow messed up, and maybe I just got too excited or something, and I stepped on the map while it was finishing. But I redrew the path again, and this time it worked. So I went back up to the top, and I wanted to see which ones were traceable and which ones were not, because I thought for sure I'd maybe gotten some, and yes, I'd gotten them all traceable this time around. So I was so happy about that, except for one thing. I looked down and I saw that other blue line, and I wondered, is it going to let me still draw on it? And yes, it did. So I was like, well, then I have to do this again in a way that makes the other blue line solvable. So I couldn't just reset it from being on top of the map, so I had to think about this symmetrically, but, well, not too much, because I could start at the end of one of the lines. And then I had to draw out my little L block shape to sort of let it exist while not covering it up or obscuring it with a bridge. And in this case, you literally just have to solve it from the end, You solve from the end and go backwards. And that allows you to then draw on it. And with this finally freaking completed, I was so satisfied. I was so happy. It took me nearly 4 hours to figure this whole thing out. there's just not enough time. There's just not enough time to go over all of this. But it just I want you to know how hard I had to work to complete some of these obelisks, because looking at these lines especially, I was so happy to get those grid ones. I was like, I wonder what those are. Now I know. They looked really complicated, and in truth they were. I got some more in the boat by going through it with the boat. I realized I'd always gone around the boat and I'd never gone under the boat, and going under the boat revealed more cracks that I could draw inside of. Seriously, how many lines are in this boat? Like, way more than 10. Like, at least 10, probably, if not more than that. I can't remember the exact count, but it's been a lot. And then I saw this here, and I thought, no freaking way. Yes freaking way. I have to get the boat to come by here, and then use the side of the boat to make the orange fit with the dot, and then I rejoin it, apparently. I was like, wait, what do I do now? Is this the end? It's not the end. I rejoin it with the side of the boat, and then, the whole time, like, I haven't looked over to the left. God, I hope this is right. I hope I have this lined up correctly. How will I ever know that I had this lined up correctly? It positioned me a little bit, but I wasn't sure, and then lo and behold, it was lining up, and I was like, oh my God, yes, because when I first saw that, like, cross-shaped beam up top, I was like, no, but then I realized it all lined up, and I was like, oh, thank goodness it's over, and there goes the boat. Speaking of the boat, there is also a circle on the front of the boat, and the circle, yes, in the water with a reflection, lines up with this tower, and I thought maybe I could draw on it, but I couldn't, so it discouraged me, but it just seemed to match so perfectly, and then I realized maybe if I joined these lines at a 90-degree angle and it started working, I was like, holy crap, I've got it. But it wasn't until I looked at the footage again, running in fast, as you see here, in 16 times speed, that I realized that the buoy is moving. It's moving so gradually, so slowly, that my eyes didn't pick up on it. But watching the footage again, I was like, oh, yes! So I came back and did it again. And I literally sent the boat off and did some more puzzles. And then I came back and did this. So now you have... There you go. That's it. So here's what I did in between finding the buoy and solving it. I've just kind of spliced it up for you. I was looking for endpoints on the bottom sides of these because I thought I saw one earlier. And indeed, there is one. I thought that might be one, but I found it on the right side. And I was like, okay, so how do I join this up? And then I found this sort of bush, and it was the same color. And I thought, maybe I just have to line it up with one of these trees. And I had to go to the other side of the island, you have to understand, in order to get up here. It wasn't like I could just, get on the path and come up, because the path was all the way to the right, and it was outside of my view, so I couldn't solve it. But then I moved it over to the right to get it in line with the bush. And I tried, 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 and nothing worked. So then I got stuck on this, trying to figure out how to rotate the green map over to the right, because I'd only ever gone forward with it. And I wondered, why would I need to go right or left with the green map? And I don't think there's anything to the right, but I wanted to see what happens if I twist it to the left. So I tried and tried and tried so many different ways to figure this out. I got it rotated to the left, and then I went down inside of the building, and lo and behold, there was my circle. So I was like, okay, all right, I see your game. I see your game. I gotcha. I gotcha. And I was so happy to finally get that done. And I cleared a path for myself, and I got out of there. And I looked at the obelisk, and I wondered, there's 2 more left. There's 2 more. Where can I find these? Well, one of them I found on top of the burnt house. I basically looked around, and I saw this shadow, and I was like, I can't draw this one. I can draw the other 2 shadows down there, but I can't draw this one. And I said, if I could have a top-down view, I looked up and saw the treehouse, the burning treehouse, and I was like, okay, that's how you do it. Then I realized that this was another circle while I was down there looking around for shadows to draw on, because I thought I'd maybe missed one or something, and I could have remembered seeing one that I couldn't draw on. And I saw this shape, and I was like, okay, so now I made 8 trips. I went there and back and there and back and there and back, and I just saw a circle in the video that makes me want to draw on it, even though I completed this obelisk. But anyway, so there's another obelisk. The thing you'll note about doing this challenge and trying to complete the obelisks is you'll see fucking circles and lines everywhere. I'm sorry. You will see them everywhere. There's no escape from circles and lines. There's circles and lines and everything. There's also an alligator. What's an alligator doing that? I don't know. I think it's a statue of an alligator, but it surprised me when I saw it. Anyway, long story short, I then found this shadow, and I realized that this is the evilest one of them all. It's so evil, but I'll get to that later. So, okay, so I matched the colors to these, And I was like, okay, I need to find more of those lines and match them because I hadn't done that before. And then while I was looking at the shadow, remember, this is running at 64 times speed. That was 64 times speed just then. That is a very slow-moving platform. These platforms here will be running at 32 times speed. Again, these platforms are incredibly freaking slow. I cannot stress enough how patient I had to be to wait for these freaking platforms to move so I could draw on them. And I absolutely hate the fact that I sat through all of this madness and then I saw underneath the slow-moving platforms that I realigned, wait, there's spirals down there. There's spirals and shapes, and there are dots, and there are lines, and I need to draw these. How many are there? There are 3, and I need to get both platforms out of the way so I can stand on this cliff and do that. And I was like, this is it, everybody. I'm in hell. This is hell. Hello. Welcome to hell. Limit 1. Hell. Please. This is one of those things. You just got to do them. You got to do it if you want to get 100%. You got to do it if you want to, just got to. This is running at real-time speed now, so you can see what I had to go through. So you can see what it was like to sit and wait and hope against all hope that maybe I did the right thing and that I didn't do the wrong thing, and that I'll be able to draw this line in time, and that its shadow right now isn't somehow obscuring the line and making it undrawable, and that other components are not coming into play here. I just have to hope, I have to hope that this will work, and then it goes through and it does, and it's like, this is so satisfying and so great, but at the same time, you just feel trapped in this endless cycle of line drawing. And on top of this, it's made worse by the fact that you now, I went back and I said, okay, I'll just draw the path now and make a bridge again. I can't draw the path from here. I can't get an angle that shows me the full map so I can draw on it. See those little things that raise up? Those little nubs or whatever you want to call them? Those little, I keep using the word nubs. Those little like metal bars, those are blocking my ability to draw on the map, and I can't even draw on it from up here. So, just one of those things. Alright, so enough of that slow down speed. As you can see, I found another circle and line right here next to the freaking platform, and then I explored the house looking for combinations of color that could lead to circles and lines. I found exactly one. I spent 8 hours in that house looking for more. Great waste of my time, let me tell you. Anyway, I then turned this boat around. Yay. I turned it around. Yep. And then I looked at the boat from the backside. And I said, yep. I'm not even surprised now. They're just everywhere. I don't even have to try. They'll just come to me. Naturally. As soon as I find an endpoint, I just have to make the circle and make it work. This is running, again, 32 times speed. Just look at that. Slowness. Anyway, I saw this in the sky. I want to draw that line, but I don't know how to draw that line. I have not been able to figure out how to line it up. If you know how to line up those clouds so that that line is drawable, please tell me. Please. Please. I need to know. It's killing me to not know. Anyway, I found some more lines at the top of the mountain, by the way. There's 3. Big whoop. I mean, it was going to be obvious they were there. I could tell they were there when I came up here in the first place. I just felt like getting them done and knocking them out of the way because I got to get these obelisks done. Anyway, circling back around into the mountain, I then realized I could draw on these lines, and then that created what would be my hell for the next 6 hours. If you think looking around in the flower house was bad, try drawing 2 lines back and forth against each other forever. And I mean forever. That was just me going idle for a bit and just like taking just a long drink. Just thinking, what do I do? How do I solve this? Racking my brain. Everything hurting. My muscles are tired. My legs hurt from sitting for so long trying to solve puzzles. Everything hurts. And you know what's so so beautifully messed up about this one is the solution is to break the puzzle while having a path that lets you get back to the other side. So I have to draw the lines, okay, in a way that makes it so that orange connects and you can create a walkway with it, and blue connects, so it's solved. Then cross the orange path to its terminating point, so that you disable the blue path. It's not even solved now. It's not even solved. See how it's empty? I was half right, but I was on the wrong side when I did this. And I was like, well, if the whole puzzle's solvable with only one line, then I just have to give myself clearance to create a pathway. And then I forgot how to even do that. I got lost for a bit. But then it all came around. You know? It all just all makes sense. You know, looking back at this footage, I have to admit that there's a little part of myself that feels like crying forever and never stopping. You know, when you see this and you're like, okay, we connected the path, we did it, yay. And now from now on, whenever I play this section, I will have to recreate that path, and I'll never be able to use the blue line again as a path unless I really dedicate myself to thinking about that. Also, I found this creepy old lady. She's like hiding amongst the books. I say she's creepy. She seems creepy, but maybe it's because she's obscured in shadow. Maybe with some better lighting, she'd come off as a really happy looking grandma or librarian, you know, somebody really friendly. Maybe she's like a nurse, or maybe she isn't one of those female expected professions. Maybe she's, you know, really, really great at construction work, or whatever other profession that she might be involved in. I mean, she could be a professional wrestler, or, you know, a gardener, or a farmer. I just say librarian because she's surrounded by books, and I say creepy because it's in shadow, and I'm going off on a tangent because I hate this puzzle. I hate this puzzle. I hate it. I want it to die. I hate it with a passion and a fury the likes of which this world has never known. This shadow puzzle, slow moving, rotating, forever taking, and then my shadow gets in the way because I didn't think about that. I didn't take it into account. It wasn't there when we started, but it was there, and it's blocking, and I still haven't solved it. I solved it one rotation, but that's not good enough. You have to do it both rotations, both 90 degrees. Does the maze even make sense? When I draw the line, it goes clockwise. When I draw the same line, it goes counterclockwise. What's making it go clockwise or counterclockwise? How do I control that? Is there a way to control that? I thought there was a pattern. I draw out patterns. I draw out lots of charts and patterns that show me it's just going clockwise or counterclockwise. But guess what? It never does. It never goes in either of those directions. And then I found this happy little line that when it goes all the way around the bottom half, opens up a secret. Let's find out what the secret is together at the bottom of the mountain. Wouldn't you know it? It's a trace puzzle. And I think I've gleaned by this point what the solution is. You see, you have to get 3 sides of those things surrounded because they're 3. And if it was 2, it would be 2 sides. And if it was 1, you could only touch 1 side. This seems to be a recurring theme throughout The Witness. I don't know why. It's a new puzzle mechanic that's usually only told in secrets. But since I'm finding so many secrets, it's now all making sense to me in its own stupid way. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is where stuff actually gets pretty freaking cool, because the underground section feels fresh. It feels new. It's got lots of puzzle boards everywhere to solve, to occupy me on, to make me think about. And the way that they're arranged makes them feel like they were put here like haphazardly as leftovers. Like they were meant to be a part of something, but they were gleaned, or they were thought to be too hard. Also, I found this line here. I guess they were thought to be too hard, maybe, so they were excluded from the main game to get that ending with the elevator. But as the elevator ending seemed to imply, the trick is you have to trace everything. So you have to come down here, because you have to get here to trace that line, right? So that means that the underground has to be accessible. And as far as I can tell, there might be even other lines. As I'll later show, there actually are some in the video section alone. Like, you have to line up videos from the top of the booth. Yeah. I also love the symmetry here. I love how that puzzle was symmetrical. That was really cool. But yeah, the secret passage was a bit of a pain in the ass to, like, re-find after going through it. But I then found there were lots of doors everywhere that led to the surface. So that means that I'm now going to have lots of ways to get back down into the cave, so I can do these fun little cave puzzles. And a lot of them do seem very challenging and mind-boggling, and they're gonna take a lot of my brain power to solve. But surprisingly, a lot of these I found very easy. Like this one here with the dot tracing. At first it seemed like, oh gosh, this is gonna be a logical nightmare, but I was able to just blaze through these. Like, that was my first try even doing that one, and I'm like, okay, got it. And I'm not sure if I'm just really good at these. Maybe I'm just really good at dot puzzles, because like I've solved the first dot puzzle in the game naturally without any instruction at all, and maybe it just comes from years of playing Pac-Man. I don't know. But this is another dot puzzle, but here the dots are hidden. I found these to be actually very clever and fun to play, and I had a lot of fun with these. I also found some audio diaries and some other things that I didn't record the audio for, and I'll have to go back and get it for you because I'm trying to show everything in the game and the channel. So I'll show those audio diaries. One of them was just a repeat of an old audio diary with some extra dialogue at the end, which seemed to imply that the narrators of the game are real people and they're recording these things. But it felt kind of forced and fake, like the real people that are reading these things, in order to try to not come off as pompous, or at least in my opinion, kind of coming off as a little pompous, and that they're trying to sound like real people. And it's down to earth that feels like it's forced down to earth, like it's not really down to earth. I'd like to imagine that those recordings were real, but it just felt way too forced in there. You know, like talking about buying a girl a sandwich and stuff. It just, I don't know, none of it felt real to me. It felt like it was all staged and part of trying to tell a story, a fictional story about an island that you go to meditate on puzzles. Whether it's a virtual island or a real one, I think it's meant to be a virtual island. Doesn't really matter. Also, as soon as I saw this, I was like, the solution can't be that easy, can it? And it worked, and I'm like, wow. I've actually seen threads of people like complaining about that particular puzzle for being such a pain in the butt, and I was like, wow, I can't wait till I get up to it, because I wasn't even like looking at it. But I guess like in my mind, subconsciously, I'd already been ruminating on it a lot, so I already knew the solution as soon as I approached it. Anyway, fun thing to note here is that section back there is referred to online as the music box. It's actually a DJ turntable, and I think there's something to do with that pattern and it that makes it some sort of like challenge puzzle. On the PlayStation, you actually get a trophy. It's like the only other trophy in the game other than one. I don't know if maybe Steam has pop-up achievements too, but I was so happy to finally find these doors that link the movie theater to the cavern, and I was also surprised as to how quickly they linked up. And I used my go-to circle video, because I know that there's a circle in there for sure, to try to line up the circle in the ceiling with it. And at first, when the Mona Lisa lined up with it, I was like, holy crap, am I drawing from the Mona Lisa? That would be awesome. But it turned out it wasn't actually from that at all. See right there, I was like, oh, I have to line up her neckline with it. But no, it's actually that circle there. The different one from earlier. The first one we had connected with the wall, and then I was like, oh, do I have to do it again? Oh no, I have to do it again. And then I went back and tried it again, and it didn't work the second time. It was just for some reason glowed when I touched it, but it's like, you already completed that one. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Then I found this really challenging series of arrows. And I say really challenging in huge quotation marks because I actually had a lot of fun with it. I took screenshots along the way and took notes, and I had this one solved in 15 minutes. Not even, like 15 minutes. That was it. That was all it took. So really, a lot of these, like, quote-unquote challenge puzzles are actually a little bit easier than some of the surface ones. Also, I was super happy to find out that that was where the cabin opened up at. And you know what? I'm just going to end the video here because there's still more exploration of the cave that I have to do that I haven't even done yet. And all I can really say is thanks for watching. You guys are awesome.